Congratulations, you finally got that 5% raise you begged for. You feel pretty good about it, until you open Zillow and realize the house you wanted just went up 20% in the same year. You are not moving forward, you are drowning in slow motion. See, the economists and the nightly news love to tell you a cute little story. They say inflation impacts everyone equally. They say when the money supply expands, prices rise across the board like water leveling out in a bathtub. That is the single biggest mathematical lie in history. Money does not behave like water. It behaves like honey. It is sticky, it is thick, and it clumps up exactly where it is poured first, long before it ever drips down to the bottom of the jar where you are waiting. If you were wondering why the rich seem to get accidentally richer while you work twice as hard to get poorer, it is not bad luck. It is a feature of the system called the Cantillon effect, and you are about to find out exactly how you are being played. Let us take a look at the crime scene, because the math tells a very specific and very depressing story. If you look at the economic data from before 1971, things actually made sense. Productivity went up, and wages went up right alongside it. It was a fair trade. But then something snapped. We call it the Great Decoupling. Since 1971, human productivity has skyrocketed. We built the internet, we automated supply chains, and workers became more efficient than any generation in history. But look at the line for real wages. It flatlined. It has been effectively dead for 50 years. Meanwhile, the line for asset prices, like the S&P 500 or real estate, did not just grow, it went vertical. It left the gravitational pull of reality and shot straight to the moon. So why is everyone suddenly waking up to this now? Because the system recently went into overdrive. Since the start of the pandemic, the central banks created roughly 40% of all US dollars that have ever existed. Think about the insanity of that statistic. Nearly half of the money supply was printed in just a couple of years. This was not a rescue mission, it was a reveal. It showed us that in this game, labor is trash and capital is king. This is why you feel like you are losing your mind. You are working harder than your parents ever did, yet you can afford less than they could on a single income. The media wants you to believe this is a personal failure. They write articles telling you to cut back on the lattes and stop buying avocado toast. That is absolute nonsense designed to make you feel guilty. You are not poor because of your spending habits. You are poor because the unit of measurement for your life energy is being diluted. Every time they print $1 billion, the hours you worked yesterday become worth a little bit less today. The currency is leaking value, and you are trying to fill a bucket that has a giant hole in the bottom. Imagine the economy is a giant champagne tower at an exclusive billionaire's party. You know the kind, where thousands of glasses are stacked in a pyramid. This is the only accurate way to visualize how money enters the system. The Federal Reserve does not sprinkle money from a helicopter over your neighborhood. They pour the bottle right at the very top. Standing there with the first glasses are the government, the central banks, and the primary dealers. They get the wine first. And here is the secret mechanism. They get the money while it is still potent. They get to spend these trillions of dollars before prices in the economy have changed. They use this fresh cash to buy up bonds, stocks, and real estate at yesterday's prices. It is basically legal insider trading. Then, the liquid overflows to the second tier. This is Wall Street, the mega corporations, and the savvy investors. They see the big money moving, they see asset prices starting to swell, and they feel rich. This is what economists call the wealth effect. They borrow cheap, they leverage up, and they buy more assets. They're still drinking champagne, maybe just a little bit diluted. And then, way down at the bottom, standing on the sticky floor with a plastic cup, is you, the wage earner. By the time the money finally trickles down to your paycheck years later, it is not champagne anymore, it is just inflation. By the time you get that 5% raise,
The people at the top have already bid up the price of housing, food, and energy by 20%. You are not drinking wine, you're drinking the backwash. This is the mechanism of the trap. It is called the Cantillon effect. It means that money is not neutral. The injection of money is a transfer of wealth. The people who get the money first rob the purchasing power of the people who get the money last. You are waiting for a trickle-down effect that is actually just a price hike in disguise. So who's actually pulling the strings here? Who benefits from a system that systematically destroys the value of money? Follow the incentive. The biggest winner in this casino is the house, the government itself. The government is the largest debtor in the history of the world. We are talking about $34 trillion in debt. Mathematically, they can never pay that back through taxes. It is impossible. So they have two options. Option 1, default on the debt and cause a global apocalypse, or option 2, print the money to pay the bills. When they print, they devalue the currency. This means the massive pile of debt they owe becomes worth less in real terms. They are effectively taxing you through inflation to wipe out their own credit card bill. It's a feature, not a bug. Then you have the asset class. These are the people standing right next to the champagne fountain. When the central bank suppresses interest rates, the rich borrow billions of dollars essentially for free. They do not use this cheap debt to buy groceries or gas. They use it to buy houses, stocks, and companies. They front-run the market. This massive wall of buying pressure sends asset prices into the stratosphere. And here's the twist, the rug pull that nobody talks about. The media keeps telling you that inflation is under control. They say it's only 3%. That is a lie by omission. That 3% number comes from the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. It tracks the price of milk, bread, and cheap plastic toys. It conveniently ignores the price of the things that actually matter for wealth building. We need to talk about asset inflation. While your milk went up 3%, the cost to buy a home or a share of the S&P 500 went up 15 or 20%. The system has tricked you into thinking that rising home prices are a good thing. They call it economic growth. They call it a booming market. That is absolute malarkey.
Think about it logically. If your house doubles in price in 5 years, did the house get twice as big? Did it grow a new bedroom overnight? No, the house is exactly the same pile of bricks and wood. The house did not get better, your money just got worse. If the price doubled, it just means the currency lost half of its value against that asset. They are celebrating the destruction of your purchasing power and calling it wealth. And the result is that the middle class is being quietly, permanently pushed out of the possibility of ever owning anything. They are turning you into a permanent renter and telling you to be happy because your portfolio looks green. Let us run the math that your bank manager is terrified you will figure out. Let us assume the real inflation rate, not the manipulated CPI number, but the actual cost of acquiring quality assets is sitting at 15%. Now, imagine you are the model citizen. You work hard, you follow the rules, and you manage to save $10,000 in a savings account paying you a generous 5% interest. You feel responsible. You feel safe. But here's the cold reality. You gained 5% in interest, but the currency itself lost 15% of its purchasing power against the things you actually want to buy. Do the subtraction. You did not make a profit. You technically lost 10% of your wealth. You are running full speed on a treadmill that is moving backwards faster than you can sprint. Saving your wealth in a fiat currency is not a safety net. It is slow financial suicide. You are bleeding out year after year while the bank thanks you for your deposit. So how do you survive in a game that is rigged against you? You have to stop playing by the rules of the 1990s. The first rule of survival is simple. Do not hold cash. The moment those dollars hit your bank account, you need to treat them like melting ice cubes. Get rid of them. Convert that trash cash into hard assets as fast as humanly possible. Real estate, stocks, commodities, anything that the government cannot print with the push of a button. And here's the most controversial part. You need to understand debt.
Your parents told you debt is evil. But in a high inflation environment, fixed rate debt is a superpower. If you borrow money today to buy an asset and the dollar collapses in value, you get to pay back that loan with cheaper and cheaper dollars in the future. Inflation eats your debt for you. In this system, the debtor is the winner and the saver is the sucker. It's twisted, it's unfair, but math does not care about your feelings. Here's the dark truth nobody wants to say out loud. The middle class, that golden era where a factory worker could own a home and support a family, that was not the standard. That was a historical accident. It was a glitch in the matrix caused by a unique set of post-war conditions. And now, the system is correcting itself. We are reverting to the natural order of human history. We are entering an era of neo-feudalism. In this new world, there are only two classes. There are the lords of assets, the people who own the scarce resources, the land and the equity. And then there are the serfs of wages, the people who rent their existence and trade their time for a currency that dissolves in their hands. The bridge between these two worlds is burning down, and you are running out of time to cross it. You need to accept that you cannot defeat the money printer with hard work alone. You cannot hustle your way out of a currency collapse. The printer runs 24/7. It does not sleep, it does not get tired, and it works faster than you ever could. The only way to win is to stop fighting the current and start swimming with it. You have to position yourself on the side of the printer. You have to become an owner. The game is rigged, but at least now you know the rules. Math does not lie, only politicians do. Subscribe to the channel because you need to learn how to read these numbers before they obliterate you.